Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really great guest on today. He's an American designer and founder of Local Projects, an experienced design firm for museums, brands, and public spaces based in New York City. He's on Fast Company magazine's list of top 50 designers, and his TED Talk has been viewed over 1 million times. Please join me in welcoming Jake Barton. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm thrilled to be here.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
I am indeed.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
I design immersive experiences, most of all for museums, but also for public spaces, hospitals, brands, and the theater.
Great. And a quick note for the audience, if you guys are interested in the big 2025 episodes, please check out our episode with Kareem Rashid. Question two. What's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I think the knowledge that for people to learn, engage, and form memories, you need to touch people's emotions. So I was one of the designers for the 9/11 Memorial Museum, and our main pitch there was really to create an emotional engagement with the audience, allowing visitors to really not just understand cognitively the moment in history, but also to really feel it. And that, as it turns out, makes all the difference because it really changes the way that people think about those experiences.
Great. Love that. Question three. Why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I think first of all, I'm really lucky to have discovered what is frankly a tiny little universe in the design world, meaning even when I got my first job as a museum exhibit designer, I was not quite understanding what the field was. But I think for me, I've really stayed there because our firm, in particular, Local Projects, really focuses on providing what is both meaningful and innovative. And the combination of those two things are perfect for museums because they make these historic assets or priceless works of art or moments of human culture and civilization relevant for the audience.
Great. Some people struggle with number four, and the question is, what does your future look like?
Yes, always a struggle. I think that I am currently struggling. I have sold local projects, although I'm still there half time. So I have lots of other time to do other interesting things. I designed the Broadway play McNeil with Robert Downey Jr. I'm got a climate fellowship through the Emerson Collective and was really interested in making immersive experiences around climate. And now I'm just sort of casting about for new ways to think about leveraging my talents within the world. So what my future looks like, I think, is still trying to make things that are innovative and meaningful, but hopefully trying to do it in partnership with different brands or institutions or locations.
Very cool. So five we say is unique to this show, and the question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
So place is super critical for what I do because we design specifically for physical space, meaning the context in which our designs take place are not only known, but are crucial to the audience's experience, right? You make a film, you make an app, you make a television program, narrative, book. They travel all over the place, and the context might be specific to the medium, but even with books, is it an ebook? Is it a physical book? Is it hardcover? Is it softcover, etc.? For us, we know exactly where and when our designs are touching an audience, and we have so much control over their experience from when they walk in the door through the ticketing experience, even up in advance into different advanced communications and follow up afterwards. So the fact that you will specifically walk between the two inverted pools, the memorial built to the victims of 9/11 before you go into the museum is crucial because you have a sense of the physical scale of those buildings that came down, because that's literally the footprints make up the memorial itself. And from there, you slowly but surely wind your way down into the museum itself. So the power of place for us is paramount.
Great. So you're starting from the beginning. What advice do you give your former younger self?
I think that I'd want to be more thoughtful as I'm building the firm and creating the different projects that we made, and in particular, to be capable and interested in seeking and on integrating counsel. I'm one of those people who am, frankly, my daughter is the exact same way, who learns the hard way, which is to say, I'm an experiential learner. People tell me things, I'm like, yeah, 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 I get it, whatever. But until I've actually experienced it, it has been difficult for me to integrate others' wisdom. Now I'm in my early 50s and I'm hitting different strides, and I'm really suddenly capable of both understanding what other people are sharing with me from a counsel standpoint and from an insight standpoint, but I look back with some degree of chagrin, recognizing that some of the ways in which I built my studio and also my projects could have been better, sooner, faster, if I hadn't only been able to follow my own instincts. They carried me very, very far. They did me lots of favors. I have no regrets. But I would be amiss if I did not recognize the fact that I could have gotten farther, faster, better, if I had balanced my own intuition with others' counsel.
Nice. So seven, what's a day in your life like?
So these days, we're a hybrid studio. So I'm either riding my bicycle down the far west side from Harlem, where I live, about 10 miles to the studio, which is in lower Manhattan, and meeting with teams, or I do that on Zoom here. It's pretty much all back-to-back meetings for me. I'm designing the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, which is in final production, that opens July 4th, 2026. The Courage Museum that opens also in 2026 in San Francisco, and then a another senatorial library, which is going to open in Phoenix in 2028. So lots and lots and lots of back-to-back meetings, which is fantastic.
Great. So eight is about lifelong learning. As a popular topic, how do you stay up to date?
So lifelong learning takes a lot of different forms for me. I ingest tons of podcasts. I listen to tons of books. And this might seem like a hazard, so I don't recommend it to others, although I swear it's safe. This summer, I was doing lots of super long distance bike rides, centuries, so 100-mile rides, which would take me about 8 hours or 7 hours, 6 hours. And I hooked up my cell phone so that it could play videos. And in particular, there's a series called Future Spaces, where different practitioners, what I do, sort of show what they're doing and answer different questions. And I just mainlined dozens of these while I was riding my bicycle. So it allows me to both see the sort of high level news, but also the sort of peer to peer point of view in terms of what they're doing and what's most effective.
Great. So nine is about tools. Can you talk about your use of digital and or analog tools?
These days, I'm probably like everybody experimenting with AI a ton, trying to figure out my own personal relationship to image generators most of all, but also some of the writing prompt generators. I also sketch and read and just take copious amounts of notes as I'm listening or reading different books. But for the most part, I'm really trying to figure out how to continue to be as creative and effective as possible using some of these new tools.
Great. So halfway number 10, work-life balance, life-work balance. How do you deal with it?
I do better these days now that I don't have to work, 60 hours a week, which is pretty much what I was up to when I was running local projects. Now I have a fantastic CEO who's running the firm. I just get to do the creative bits on our largest projects, which is a fantastic gift and blessing. And then the rest of the time is really, really flexible. So when I was doing the play at Lincoln Center with Robert Downey Jr., that was crazy. 12-hour days, very, very intense. And that said, when I'm not doing things like a play or immersive installations, I have a lot of time to both spend with my family and to a certain extent, or the extent I need, take care of myself, which is really, really important for a sustained career into the future.
Great. And if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
I'd really love to think of myself as someone capable of doing policy work, particularly around climate. But I think I'd probably be better at marketing or communications around climate. I think there's weird abstraction and sort of joylessness to that industry, if you want to call it that. And that's a lot of what I brought to the work that I've built. So I'd love to apply it there.
What would you not like to do with your career?
I mean, so many things, including lots of things I've done. I've worked in kitchens, I've worked as a dishwasher. I mean, there's so many types of careers that I think are challenging, and for me in particular, things that would be repetitive. So the fact that client services in general and museums in particular have afforded me the chance to learn a ton, deep dive on a range of different, super interesting and most of all important topics has been a great gift. So anything that would be sort of rote or mechanical, I think would be very challenging for me.
Great. And do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
So I have two. One, and I say this with great irony, is a quote that I made up as a dare in my 20s. And in full disclosure, the person who dared me to do it said, "That's just the dumbest quote I've ever heard. That's just so incredibly stupid." But I actually think it has merit. Its enthusiasm is its own reward. This idea that, like, just being engaged and enthusiastic is bring a whole lot to the table and to your own life. That said, the main quote, all false modesty aside, that I would really go for is from Alan Kay, if you know him. He's the inventor of the desktop paradigm, all the way back, the one that Steve Jobs essentially stole from Xerox PARC and created the Macintosh computer, which is, really resulted in a lot of the personal computer explosion that we enjoyed. So he had this quote: "A point of view is worth 50 IQ points," and it's really a quote about both focus as well as context. Meaning, if you are focused on something, the ability to just do that thing and have everything you read and talk about and drink and assimilate into that point or into that focus makes you smarter. And same thing with the context that you're inside of. If you are inside of a group that is focused on the same things that you are, you get smarter and smarter and smarter.
Great. And do you have a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Um, Not really. I mean, I think that there are a range of different stereotypes, right? Things like "boys will be boys" or "it was only a joke." These are the types of quotes that we're using in this project, the Courage Museum, to explain the way in which normative behavior sometimes excuses really bad behavior. And so quotes like that just are in the ether and in our culture, but that excuse poor behavior are definitely my least favorite.
Great. And you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Um, I think if I was being immodest, I'd say buoyant or joyful. I certainly, at my best, am like that, and that level of enthusiasm is a huge reason, I think, frankly, why our projects have been so inspiring, both to the people who've worked on them and the clients who've partnered on them and the audiences who've engaged with them. The ability to find things that are meaningful and beautiful and relevant, even in something as hard as the 9/11 Memorial Museum or the work that we did for the Greenwood Rising Black Wall Street History Center, is really a way of expressing joy about this world.
Great. And what keeps you up at night?
I think the general sort of chattering of so many of the norms in this country and just in our world. I mean, I think for something like a museum to exist, it really needs and wants to be a sort of centering of people's points of view, but it's unfortunately not been made immune to the culture wars that are tearing a lot of our best institutions apart. And I'm up for conflict, but I think the unnecessary sharp elbowed destruction of a lot of incredibly well-intended hard work makes it very, very difficult.
Great. And final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
All I want to do all day long is make a climate experience that people actually want to go to.
Hmm.
You can think about the former and the latter, but putting them together is, from what I've seen, very, very difficult, if not impossible. Even Inconvenient Truth, amazing, world-changing documentary, was something that people sort of dragged themselves to in great droves, but the sequel was harder. And since then, it's gotten harder and harder and harder, I think, to engage people in the idea of climate, even as the evidence of it surrounds us constantly. Even here in New York, two people just died from flash flooding from a quantity of water that came out of the sky that's unprecedented. So it's a really weird moment for climate and climate communications. It's never been more relevant. The time is now, and the urgency is felt, but people are less and less and less inclined at every moment to want to be engaged with it. So in theory, I'd love, and I've been chasing this dream for years, and I hope to get there, to make some type of climate experience that people actually want to go to.
Great. And what inspires you?
I think both people who have been able to take a stand and also been clever and smart enough to achieve incredible things against the odds. There are ways in which that can be done with beauty and grace and humor. And I am also inspired by that. But everything from, people like Senator McCain, John McCain, who was an incredible patriot, not someone I agreed with on many things or even most things, but that guy really cared and he really put his own life into something much larger than himself and made that his calling for future generations. And I would hope that I am answering that call, and I'm certainly inspired to answer that call.
Great. And last couple here, number 19. Any advice you'd like to share?
I think it would be that. I mean, again and again, Senator McCain would say, you know, as a human, but in particular as a young person, find a cause greater than yourself and commit yourself to that. And that, in big ways and little ways, I think is really a worthy statement, particularly in 2025, because it's such an incredible challenge to be able to do that at a time when so much of the technology and communications, media, and culture is so focused on the self. It's really amazing how collapsed we get into our own world, our own echo chambers, our own privileges, and our own precedents. So having a call to something higher and a form of service, I think is something that I really try to deliver on and I take seriously. And I hope that everyone else does as well.
Great. And finally, number 20. How can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
So, two different ways. One is through the mailing list for local projects. And the second is just through LinkedIn, where I post a range of things that I'm working on. And I think the call to action would be just to find things that are beautiful that you can amplify in this world, and in particular, things that are productive, things that help to move us forward.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining today. It's a real privilege to have you on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.